Hello everyone, welcome to qvex. This is our central repository here. This is just a short walkthrough on how to add yourself to the website and should give you some familiarity with our repository and how to use GitLab to contribute. So this is GitLab. You can see all the files in our repository just like you would in a file manager. You can navigate through them and you can even edit them from within the web interface here. This is good for editing documentation files and making very small changes, but you really don't want to be using this editor for any important code things because you can't actually confirm that the changes you've made are going to work with the code base. So for example, you might make a change that doesn't compile anymore, and that would be a big issue. So when you're actually working on it, we're going to use a different tool, which is called gitpod. And I will just show you guys how to do that. If I go to the home for repository again, which I can do from this sidebar, and I scroll down, there's a button here which says Get Pod Ready to Code. And what that'll do is that'll launch another tab, and from that tab you'll have a whole environment with all the tools that we think you'll need to contribute. So it takes a while to get set up, so I did it ahead of time, and it's over in this tab. You might want to click this now and let it run in the background, and maybe pause this video and come back in a second. Okay, once that gets loaded up, you'll see something like this. You'll notice it's the same files that we were looking at on GitLab, but this is just a more fully featured environment for working with them. So, just like a IDE on your computer, you can go through files. Has nice syntax highlighting, and you have a terminal here, which runs just like one on your local computer. If you're not familiar with the terminal, don't worry too much. You're just going to run a couple of commands today, and I will show you exactly what to run. So yeah, that's how gitpod works. If I run the command cd web/main, and I'm hitting tab there to autocomplete web and main, just to save me some typing. So when I type web/m, I can then hit tab, and it will autocomplete. Very helpful. And hit enter. What that does is it changes my directory of where my terminal is into web/main, and you'll notice my my current working directory, which is printed right here, has changed. So now I'm in the web/main folder, which is over here on our sidebar as well. And from in this folder, I'm going to run a command npm install. I ran this previously, so it should finish pretty quickly for me. It might take considerably longer for you to run. Should take over a couple minutes though. So there we go, only took me 7 seconds. And what that did is it installed all of the dependencies for the web app. We use Angular to generate our website, and that just installed a bunch of reusable code written by other people that we use to make our website look nice and save us some work. So now that that's installed, we can actually start the Angular dev environment, which is a program which watches all of the files that we use to build our website and constantly produces a little preview of it for us. So that'll be very helpful today, so we can visually confirm that what we're doing is correct and that we're actually modifying the right part of the site and adding ourselves to the bio page. So I can start that dev server by typing npm start. And this will take just a second. You'll see it's compiling down here. The initial compile takes a lot longer than subsequent compiles. And you'll also notice we got a little pop-up here which says a service is available on port 4200. That is gitpod telling us that there is a web server running on this port. And we can click the open preview button to see what that web server is rendering. I'm just going to refresh it. And this is the homepage for our site, kind of in a mobile view because we don't have much space, but I can expand. And yeah, this is more what it would look like on a desktop. but I am going to put that over here for the time being. It's much easier to work with. And I'm going to go to the Our Team page, which is where all the bios load. And you'll see we have all the members of the team one by one. And the format of this page is each person has a headshot, their name, the type of membership they have, what they're studying, and their expected graduation year, and then just a short little bio. We also have links for a GitHub account, if you have one, and your LinkedIn account as well. So you can scroll through, look at all our team. For now, we're going to go to the source, and we're going to add a new person. So I'm just going to add the person John Doe here to make it really easy for me. So if I go to the source directory over here within web and main, and then I go to app, and then I go to bio, we have a whole bunch of files in here. And what we're looking for is data.ts. And this is a file that basically just contains a big array, an array of JavaScript objects. If you're not familiar with this syntax, don't worry. It's very, very simple. We have opening square brackets to start an array, and then in this array we have an object which is defined by curly braces. And in that object we have a bunch of key value pairs, basically. So this pair here is called name. That would be the key for this. And then under name we have the name of a person. And that corresponds to the first person in the list here. So we've got Cameron, our president. We have me, second person in the list. And we've got our VP Finance, third, and so on and so on. And then everyone else is sorted alphabetically. You'll notice we have someone commented out here. That's because they haven't added their headshot to the site yet, and we don't want blank people on the site. So when they give us our headshots, it can be added. Okay. So now you can add yourself. I'm not really too concerned about the alphabetical order, so you can add yourself anywhere. I'm going to add this theoretical John Doe person underneath Logan Lim. Actually, before I make any changes, there's something very important I've forgotten to do, and that's to take advantage of Git's big feature. So Git is a version control system, which means its purpose is to track the changes to files. And one of the main ways it does that is through the creation of what are called branches. For the purpose of explaining this, I'm just going to go back to the GitLab page. And if I click under repository branches, you can see the status of a whole bunch of branches here. And most of the time, there's different branches for different features people are working on. And basically, each of those branches has their own history of what's called commits. And commits are every time you decide to log that you changed a file, you create a commit. I'll walk you through the process of doing this for your own changes. But perhaps even better to illustrate this idea is by looking at the graph under repository. And this is actually a kind of diagram of the history of the repository. So this would be the most recent thing. So this is what the changes are on master, which is the main branch. So that's the primary branch of the repository, and where you want your code to end up one day. So once your code is complete and looks good, it goes to master. And from there, it can be put onto the robots or deployed to the website in this example. So you're going to create your branch first, and then you're going to do what's called a merge, which is, here's an example of a merge. I created a branch today. I did a couple of commits. You'll notice that's why it branched off, this little green bit. And then I did a merge, and it's put back to master. So we can basically have separate sets of history on each branch, and then Git does some clever stuff to allow all these files to be nicely merged back together. Okay. You'll notice we have some branches that haven't been merged yet, and these are features that people have played around with. You are free to create your own branches and experiment with the repository how you like. It's only really master that is the repository, that's the branch we care about. So if you want to play around and add a feature, you should create your own branch first. So let's go and look at how to do that. In the Git pod UI, there is in the corner here a little button which says the repository you're working on, and then over here it says the branch you're on. If I click that branch button, it pops up this UI here, and I have a list of all the branches, and I can switch to them, and that would allow me to see the state of any of those branches in my IDE here. What I want to do is I want to create a new branch, and when you create a new branch, you specify where it's coming from. So you have to make a copy of an existing branch, and then that's where the term branch comes from. Those two things branch off from each other and now have two separate histories. When you click create a new branch, by default it makes one off of master, which is generally what you want, unless you are working on an extension of something you're already working on. Unless that's the case, you should always be working on master, pretty much. Okay. So it asks for the name of the branch. I'm going to call it feature / web main. So I'm saying it's a new feature I'm adding. I'm adding it to what the part of the repository I'm adding it to, which is web and main. And I'm adding it to, I'm going to add John Doe as the name. So just a short description. These aren't too important, but they're really for you to be able to find this branch later. If you're working on something else for a while and you want to come back to a project, you want to give it a descriptive name. So I hit that, and in the bottom corner, you'll see it's changed. None of my files have changed because I was already on master, and then I made a branch off of it, so you'd expect all the files to be the same as they are. Okay, so we had a little diversion there, but we can go back to actually adding this new person. I open some curly braces, and I put a comma at the end, so I've added a new object into this array, and I just need to follow the same format as before. So I add a name, I add a position, does not, I shall make him a number, and program, none, he's not a real person, bio, I am not real, and then you can optionally add a LinkedIn thing and a GitHub. I'm not going to add them for now. And you'll notice any of the red lines that were hovering around have disappeared. If I were missing one of these, it would be an error. So any element in this array is expected to have at least a name, a position, a program, and a bio. And if you're missing any of those, you will get an error. Anyway, I can save that now. And let's see if there's a change. So we should see this new character right under Logan. We go to our team, and we'll scroll down. Yes, John Doe added to the list. Missing an image, though. So the way these images work is under the folder Assets and Team Pics. You have to name the image exactly the same as your first and last name. So for the entry Logan Lim, there is a corresponding image, also called Logan Lim, and it looks like it needs to be a JPEG. So if you should convert your image, your headshot beforehand if you need to. I'm just going to find a generic headshot and add that to the thing. Here we go. Hopefully this is a JPEG. Yes, it is. And I'm going to save this to my desktop as John Doe. Capital letters, space in the middle. Exactly the same format as the name I typed. And now I can go back and I can upload this into Git. Here, so I'm going to try just drag and dropping. Oh yeah, that works. Okay, great. So we got our John Doe here. You'll notice that the the server noticed the change and made a recompile there. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I reload this page and I can see this new person with a nice photo this time. Oh yeah, brilliant. Okay, so that is how you make the changes on your own branch. And now the only thing we have left to do is to make a commit. So log these changes on our new branch, and then file what's called a merge request, which is a declaration that you want this code to go into the master branch. And then one of us will look at your code, see if we think it's good, and then add it in. So now that we have these changes, let's make our commit. So I click on this little T-looking thing. The way to look at this is it's actually the same as the graph back here. Whoop, sorry. The same type of diagram as this graph back here. You have a central branch here, and then a split, a branch created there. So that's why that symbol is chosen for Git, because branching is really the main feature of Git. So before I make a commit, I need to tell Git what I want it to log. And I do that by pressing this little plus here to stage the change. And now it's in the staging area. I'm going to stage both of these files for this commit. The UI is a tiny bit slow, but you only have to click it once. And you'll notice there's an M here because we modified this file. And there is an A here because we added this file. That's just a little thing to help you keep track. And then you need to create a message to log your commit. So I'm going to say add John Doe to website. Commit messages are really for your own use more than the rest of the branch, the rest of the team, sorry. More descriptive is better, but generally people are rather lazy. So try and be better than the others, but there's no real expectations there. And I hit Command-Enter on a Mac to make that commit. So now I've made the commit, but I need to also push that commit back onto the actual GitLab instance. So this is almost like a separate computer than the GitLab. Even though they're both running in the browser, they're running on separate servers somewhere, and I need to tell this server to push it over to the other server. So I can do that with this little cloud icon here. If I hover over it, it says publish changes. That will automatically do the push for me. And it's saying this will push commits to the upstream branch. So what it's going to do, it's going to create a branch on GitLab with the same name as my local branch, which I just created. And it's going to push the changes to that remote branch. It's exactly what we want. And it looks like that's done. This went from a cloud to a little synchronization icon. And we should be able to go back to our repository. And here we can select what branch we're looking at on GitLab. And there is the latest change, the most recently changed branch, which is ours, right at the top of the list. I can click on that. And here's the state of that branch. And what I want to do is I want to create a merge request and tell the rest of the team that I want this code added to the main repository so that it can be deployed to the website and everyone can see my beautiful face. So create merge request. This is where descriptions really matter, because you want to describe the changes you've made so it's easy for us, the maintainers, to say that, yes, this is a good change. And we're also able to look at the code you've changed itself, so we'll inspect it, we'll see how you did. There's a chance that you'll get comments on this merge request asking you to make more changes, just so it's suitable for the main repo or the main branch. So if that's the case, you will get an email from GitLab reminding you to check on those changes, and you'll probably be pinged on Discord as well. So since this isn't actually going to be reviewed, I'm not going to make any changes. And I'm going to add an assignee just to say to GitLab, I want someone to check it. I'm going to add that assignee as myself, and you should also add me as the assignee for your request, your merge request. Milestone, there is no milestone here. Labels, don't add any labels. You can check this delete source branch when merge request is accepted. That'll just keep the repository free from any like branches that aren't being used anymore. And you can check the squash commits button. And what that'll do is it'll take all of your little commits, and it will, if you had multiple commits on the branch, it'll make it into one single commit, which just keeps the history of the main branch a little cleaner. So just check both of those as a general rule, and then you can click Submit Merge Request. And that will ping me, and I will come and check on it. And if I think that you've made a mistake, I will let you know. Otherwise, I will just write a comment here, and I'll say good job, and I will approve your merge request. And that's all there is to it. If you have any questions with anything I covered here, ping me on Discord. I'm Ben Bitdiddle. Let's just open Discord so I can... yeah, this is me, Tim Moreland. Right-click, send me a message, and I will hopefully respond within a day or so. Great job. Okay, see you guys.